Now, this is something here that I really haven't seen anybody talking about, and I'm going to end the cell section with this. One of the sadder stories of 2018, and I think it deserves a mention. Back on April 2nd, which was about a week or so before WrestleMania, Howard Finkel, who is still the greatest wrestling ring announcer that there has ever been, tweeted his thanks for all of the kind words that people were sending him about celebrating 38 years of full-time employment with WWE. His last tweet came 2 weeks later. Bruno Sammartino had passed away. He posted a tweet saying rest in peace to Bruno. He has not tweeted anything since. It has now been more than 8 months. Now, over the summer, on his podcast, Jerry Lawler let leak that Fink has been in very poor health, and he said he may have had a stroke. Now, I think it's kind of irresponsible to say something like that unless you know for sure that the man did in fact have a stroke. I mean, it's one thing to say he's in poor health. He said, I think he had a stroke, but I'm not sure. So that was kind of, I thought very irresponsible for him to say, but I think it's safe to say, whatever happened, Fink is not doing very well these days, as evidenced by the fact that nobody has seen or heard from him in months. The longer we hear nothing, the more worried I get. Finkel is an institution in that company. He was unceremoniously taken off television years ago, still very much in his prime, because he no longer looked the part in Vince McMahon's eyes. So they replaced him with Lillian Garcia. And they would only use him to introduce the Hall of Famers at WrestleMania as a way to keep his streak alive. Undertaker was not the only one with a WrestleMania streak. There was a more impressive WrestleMania streak, which is Howard Finkel had appeared at every single WrestleMania in some capacity from the very first one at Madison Square Garden in 1985. That ended last year when they did not even use his voice. I was there in Dallas at WrestleMania 32 when he got stuck trying to roll himself out of the ring at the end of the Hall of Famers segment. It was very sad to see. He needed a whole bunch of people to come over and help drag him out of the ring. Whatever health problems he is having, I hope the company is doing whatever it can to help him. I would have to think that they are. He is one of those longtime employees that, even though they took him off television, and that clearly bothered him. I mean, Noah Mark, a friend of the show here, can attest to that. When we saw Fink at Fan Access a few years back, it may have been the one in New Orleans, I overheard some things that he was saying while he was talking baseball with some fans who were waiting in line to get his autograph. He would interact and converse with some of the fans, and big baseball fan. He is a diehard New York Mets fan. Poor Howard. But it was very obvious that he was bothered by the fact that he was no longer able to do what he loved to do. But even so, I have to think that there is a loyalty there from the McMahon family to make sure that this guy is taken care of. Vince McMahon's father is the one who first hired Finkel way back in 1975. And, I see this hashtag sometimes on Twitter, the hashtag and new, right? By wrestlers, fighters, either when they're fighting for a championship or after they've won a championship. I see this hashtag and new. When I think of the words and new, I always think of Howard Finkel. That will always be the iconic Howard Finkel call, his best call, whenever somebody won a championship. That and, booming, and new World Wrestling Federation champion or new Intercontinental champion. He just made those wins feel so much more epic just by the sound of his voice. It's like night and day when I go back and I watch that old footage on the network and I hear the announcements from him. It's like night and day compared to what we have today. There's never been anybody better than him. Really, the only person WWE has brought in who I feel came close to matching one of his classic calls, or frankly doing it better, I have to give him his props, is Justin Roberts. When it came to announcing The Undertaker I would argue that Justin Roberts does a pretty epic Undertaker announcement. And I'll even say probably better than even Finkel does. But there are not very many others I can think of better than the Fink at what he did. And I hope he's doing okay. I really do.